Hi everyone, Eva here. It's Sleep Tip Tuesday. So in honor of today, we're going to continue with our 4-part series discussing 4 very important sleep facts that all new parents need to know. So today we're going to discuss dream feeds. Now, what's a dream feed? I know there's a lot of misconceptions around what this term specifically refers to. So let me clarify what exactly a dream feed is. A dream feed is when you feed a baby, usually a younger baby, in his sleep. So he's completely asleep the entire time, before, during the feed, and after the feed, asleep the entire time. The purpose of the dream feed is to preempt a nutritive waking that's bound to happen within the next few hours. So it allows you to feed the baby before you go to sleep, usually between 10 and 11 o'clock, and then you can just feed the baby, put him back down wherever he's sleeping, and then you can go to sleep and get yourself an uninterrupted stretch of sleep by replacing that feed that would have happened a couple hours into your night by feeding him beforehand. So that's how a dream feed works in a nutshell. It's really meant for, I should just clarify that it is meant for bottle-fed babies. The reason for this is because bottle-fed babies tend to not wake up as easily. You know, with a breastfed baby, it can be done, but it's just a little bit trickier. So just wanted to put that out there. Now, the fact, I guess, around dream feed, so the $1 million question is, do they work? And the answer is sometimes. That it really depends on the baby, whether or not the dream feed ends up being a godsend, or whether or not it ends up being completely useless, or it ends up being something that makes matters worse. So sometimes a dream feed can be an absolute godsend, because what it means, if this is the case, is that you feed your baby at, let's say, 10 o'clock, and then you go to sleep, and then your baby doesn't wake up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, because he skipped his midnight feed, right? And so you get this awesome uninterrupted stretch of sleep that is worth its weight in gold, especially if you have a younger baby that wakes fairly frequently at night, right? That's amazing. You've hit the jackpot. If you have a baby that can do that for you, you've seriously hit the jackpot. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. In fact, I find that's usually not the case. The other option, possibility, you can say, in terms of how the dream feed will play out, is that it doesn't end up making any difference. So if your baby usually wakes up at 10, and then again at 3, and then again at 6, ends up waking at 12, and then 3, and then 6. So you feed your baby at 10, and then he still wakes up at 12, and 3, and 6. So you didn't really accomplish much. In fact, I would argue you might have made matters worse, because you fed him an extra time and it didn't really replace any of those other feeds. So you didn't really end up anywhere further along. The third possibility is that the dream feed can sometimes actually make matters worse. Because you see, if your baby ends up getting woken up even slightly from the dream feed and doesn't remain asleep the entire time, it can throw off the sleep patterns for the rest of the night. So sometimes, if your baby is normally waking at 12 and 3 and 6, and then you offer the dream feed, all of a sudden he's now waking at 11 and 12 and 1 and 3 and 5 and 6. Because of that dream feed. It happens. So obviously, if that's the case, then discontinue the dream feed, because it's not a good fit. If it's not really doing much for your baby, I would also say to discontinue. Another reason why you would want to discontinue trying is if your baby doesn't even eat. Sometimes you can offer a baby a dream feed and they're in such a deep sleep that they don't even open their mouth for the bottle or for the breast. So it might not work in that situation either. If you happen to be one of those lucky moms that hit the jackpot with the dream feed, where you're able to feed your baby in his sleep, and then he ends up skipping one of his night feeds and either gets to the next feed or makes it through until the morning, you seriously won the lottery when it comes to the baby sleep department here. On a personal note, I can tell you with each of my kids, I had very different experiences. My older daughter, who ironically was the better sleeper, did not respond well to a dream feed whatsoever. I found that when I offered it to her, it would make her sleep worse, where it encouraged it further night waking. So I stopped offering it to her very, very quickly. My younger daughter, on the other hand, I had a very nice chunk of time in my life when she was a baby where the dream feed really was a godsend, where I was, she was about 3 months old, and I was able to dream feed her at 10, go to sleep, and then not wake up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It was amazing. It didn't last forever. I should let you know that, eventually, my luck ran out with it. But for that period of time, it was really, really fantastic. So the moral of the story is that whether or not the dream feed will work for you and work for your baby, really will just come down to your baby. Whether or not they open their mouth and eat it, whether or not they end up skipping a night feed as a result, or whether or not it makes no difference. There's really not too much that you can do to help your case. So all I would say about the dream feed is give it a try, see how it goes, and if it doesn't work, it's absolutely not your fault. It just means it's not the right fit for you or your baby. I hope this was helpful, and you all have a wonderful day.